So my name is Lisa Youngblade. I'm proud to be the dean of this college, and I am so pleased to welcome you to the College of Health and Human Sciences 6th Annual Research Day. It's a really great day. So exhilarating to feel the buzz of all the research and creative scholarship that we just witnessed at our morning posters show. And I want to thank all our presenters and judges who shared inspiring conversations about the many ways individuals across our college are making the world better for people. What a day. Let's give a shout out to the morning poster session. And before I introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Chance W. Lewis, I am proud and humbled to read CSU's land acknowledgement. When our community gathers, we share the land acknowledgement to respect and reflect upon our responsibilities to our histories that are vibrantly alive today. The indigenous communities who were the original stewards of CSU's land were also examples of nations committed to education and democratic traditions. We are grateful to the indigenous faculty, staff, and students, as well as additional community members who crafted this statement. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native tribes. We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU is founded as a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion, and significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. And now, I am so very pleased to introduce Dr. Chance W. Lewis. Dr. Lewis serves as the Carol Grotnes Belk Distinguished Professor of Urban Education at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. There, Dr. Lewis was a Provost Faculty Fellow for Diversity, Inclusion, and Access, and he is the founding executive director of the Urban Education Collaborative, which is publishing a new generation of research on improving urban schools. Dr. Lewis received his BS and Master's in Education in Business Education, Administration, and Supervision from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. While teaching business education in East Baton Rouge Parish Schools, he was named Teacher of the Year. He next pursued his PhD in Educational Leadership and Teacher Education here at Colorado State University, which he earned from our School of Education in 2001, and we are so proud he is one of our alumni. He went on to serve here as an assistant professor of teacher education through 2006, and then as the Houston Endowed Chair and associate professor of urban education at Texas A&M University. Spanning the range of K-12 and higher education, Dr. Lewis has more than 100 publications, including over 70 refereed journals in the leading academic journals in the field of urban education. He's received over $7 million in external research funds. To date, he has authored, co-authored, or co-edited 30 books. That's an impressive number. And in addition, he's provided consultative services focused on schools, on school turnaround to over 100 school districts, universities, educational entities, and other organizations across the US and Canada. He's married to Meckle Lewis and has 2 daughters, Myra and Sydney Lewis. Today, Dr. Lewis will present the importance of health and human sciences research in 2025 and beyond, strategies for success. Please help me with our warmest ram welcome to Dr. Chance Lewis.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's so good to be here. I just am honored and elated to be back home in the great state of Colorado. I want to just thank so many people because so much of my life was spent right here in Fort Collins, Colorado as well. So for all the distinguished faculty that are here, the students that are here, administrators, all of our esteemed guests that we have here today, it's just an honor that I really stand before you today for this College of Health and Human Sciences Research Day. When I got the call for this, I was just elated. I was like, yes, I'm coming whenever it is, right? And so as we started to kind of think about it, once I got the invitation, something just stirred up in me to just say, wow, just think about, I'm thankful for the journey as well. So I want to thank the Provost for having me here. I want to thank Dean Youngblade, Dr. Hickey for the invitation. And where's Lee Nagel? Where's Lee Nagel? Is he here? He's probably out coordinating logistics. He coordinated everything. My flight was late. They had to find another plane. The shuttle was leaving. I ran through the airport, but we were talking the whole time as well. But I want to thank him for all of the coordination of everything. But before I get started with my remarks for today, there are some special people that are here that I want to thank, because I didn't get here by myself. Right, and so when we look at this, I want to thank my dissertation advisor, my academic mentor is here, Dr. Brian Cobb is here. If we could give him a round of applause, if he could wave. I know he doesn't like that, but I just had to do it anyway, right? My former dean and one of my big advocates, former dean, Dean Nancy Hartley, as well. I want to thank her for all of her support over the years. If we could give her a round of applause, please. And last and definitely not least, my mentor, my lifelong mentor who lives right here in Fort Collins. I had to make sure he was here because I could not come here and he not be here in the presence as well. So I want to thank Reverend David Williams, who is here as well. So thank you for being here. If you could give him a round of applause as well. And there are so many others that are here. I saw Dr. Rich Feller that's here. All of them have shaped me. He was next door to me when I was a faculty member as well, giving me some nuggets of wisdom to navigate this, seeing me stuck in my office trying to write as well. But I just want to thank so many people that are here. But before we get started, I want to give a big round of applause for all of the students that are here. I walked through the poster sessions today, and there was such great energy. So let's give all the students, the organizers, and everybody involved in the event a big round of applause as well. So what I would love to do today is to pick up on that momentum, because I want to find you in the room today, whether you're a student trying to launch your research, whether you're a faculty member pushing your work forward, you're an administrator setting the environment for people to excel in their work, or you're a community member out in the trenches making a difference for everyone as well. I want to thank each of you for your work, because in me finding you, I want you to think about for a minute expanding the boundaries of your current experiences, but also stretching beyond your comfort zones. Because these are some things I had to learn when I was here, and embrace the mindset of what I want to kind of frame our discussion around today for this research day is helping you understand, by you being here, greatness is the standard. Okay, and I want you to understand that greatness here at CSU is the standard. When you made a decision to come here, and I had to learn this when I got here, understanding that greatness was the standard, right? But I have had enough experiences when I came here, from now the time that I've been away, to understand that you get to make a decision today. If we know greatness is the standard, sometimes we come here to be good. We don't have to do anything to be average, right? But we come as good, right? But the expectation. So I'm speaking to somebody in the room today, as you think about the work that you're embarking upon, that greatness is the standard, okay? But as we look at this, I've had enough experiences to know that if greatness is the standard, phenomenal is the expectation. And I want you to think about what I'm saying when I think about this as well. When you think about it as you stand at your posters or you're in the lab doing your work, phenomenal is the new normal that I want you to consider by you being here. So as we look at this, your presence here at CSU is not by accident. And as we look at that, what I want you to consider as a student embarking upon this discovery, this research discovery, or you're a faculty member mentoring the next generation, what I want us to consider is that I want you to push the boundaries of human knowledge. I want you to, as a community member, I want you to uplift the world, but also I want you to understand that your role here is pivotal. And it being pivotal here, this moment is about more than education or research. I want you to think about your time here as a time of transformation. And as we look at this, and today I want to offer you a few little insights of how I want you to consider yourself after today, because as I walked around the room doing the poster sessions, I really saw myself a few years ago, right in the same shoes that you're in now. And so I want to just walk through in the few moments that I have, and let's dive in. If greatness is the standard and the minimum expectations, we have to understand what that means for us where we are now, okay? Because, see, many people can really settle for good when greatness is within reach, but phenomenal is when you stretch yourself. Okay, I want to say that again, okay? Greatness is within reach for you, but phenomenal is when you stretch yourself to a point where everything that you came here for, you fully grasp. And as we think about this field of health and human sciences that we are in is not one where mediocrity can thrive, not in today's age. You cannot be mediocre. The patients that you will treat, the communities you will serve, and also the research that you conduct, you have to be at your very best. See, greatness is not just reserved for a select few. It is a choice. When I came here, I had to make a choice. Do I be like anybody else? Or do I reach for greatness? Or do I go all the way over to phenomenal? And as you think about this, what I want you to think through is, since greatness is not reserved for a select few, it has to be for you a daily commitment to go beyond the expected, to seek solutions and that others overlook and stand firm when challenges arise. So I ask you today this personal question. If you're a student, are you here just for the degree? If you're a faculty member, are you just here for the title and the paycheck? If you're an administrator, are you just here to oversee? But as we look at this, I want us to consider, are you striving to reach an indelible mark on the world? And what I want you to think about, in my own decision, in my time here, I had to really wrestle with that decision. But I said there was no way I was going to move here from the great state of Louisiana, where I experienced no snow, to having my first snowstorm, to my first snow blizzard, and not get what I needed to get from being here. But when I understood greatness was the standard, I did not choose the easiest path. I challenged myself with what I consider the best dissertation committee you could ever have, okay? With my advisor being here, former Dean Hartley, Brad Schaefer, who was in social work, and others that have really pushed me, because what I understood at that time was greatness was here, but I also saw phenomenal on the horizon. So as you look at your moments that you're at right now, don't necessarily settle for the easiest path as you think about the work that you want to do. So this leads to my second thought that I want us to consider, is that I want you to understand the journey to your why. And I want to give a statement, and I want to say it slowly so you get it, okay? Who you were when you arrived here is not who you need to be when you leave here. And I'm going to say that one more time. Who you were when you arrived is not who you need to be when you leave here. So the work, the academic experience, it should change you in a positive way. You are here not just to learn facts, but to discover your why. And I want you to wrestle with your why, because this deep intrinsic motivation that will sustain you through obstacles that you will face ahead. And as you think about that, the truth, the knowledge without purpose is wasted potential, okay? So every class that you're in, every late night study session, every research project is shaping you into who you need to be just to get to your why. And so as we think about this, I want you to embrace the transformation, because, and I want you to be intentional about asking yourself, why am I here? Okay? I want you to also ask yourself, who am I becoming while I'm here? Because when you walk across that graduation stage, or you publish that breakthrough research, or you provide service to the community, it's not just about the accomplishment of that. It is the purpose that now fuels you. So when you look at your why and who I needed to be when I was here, I had to understand and come to the point, because I remember when it came to me a late night in the office, the little grad student office that we had in the corner on the backside by Rich Feller's office, on the backside over there, it was snowing outside, and I'm in there, and I say, I understand why I'm here now. And it hit me where it shaped me into such a way where it had me where now I was super focused at that particular point. So once you understand the why, and you walk through that as you begin with your particular work that you're doing and that you're showcasing here at Research Day, I want you to think about some other things that I want to consider, because in my walking around today, there are a couple of other factors I do want you to consider. That is skill and will that you're going to have to find for yourself here. And in this skill and will, having skills is not just enough in today's society. So many people come here who are talented, but talented without drive leads to stagnation. Because you can have a greater skill set, but you have to have that willpower that's going to push you to be everything that you need to be in this space at this particular time that I want you to consider, right? You can have the knowledge, you can have the degrees, you can have the research experience, but without determination, resilience, discipline, you will not reach your full potential. The challenges that you're going to face, you're going to have some challenges. You're going to face some things in the lab, in the classroom, in the field. Sometimes you're going to have some roadblocks. Raise your hand if you had some roadblocks while you've been a student here at CSU, okay? I just want to make sure I'm talking to the right people, okay? But in that particular time, there are going to be some tests along the way to make sure that you truly want what you came here for. I remember my first publication submission, and I'll just abbreviate what the reviewer told me. This is probably the worst thing I've ever read in my life. Now, right there, I could have made a decision. This is not for me. Or could have used that as motivation, because one thing I understood is that maybe some people had some skills, but they were not going to outwill me. And as you look at that, that is the determination that you have to have while you are here, because these things will test you as well. So here's a question I want you to consider. Raise your hand one more time if you thought about, can I really do this? Whether you're a student, raise your hand, students, faculty members, administrators, everybody I know is in the room, right? Provost, can I do this? But it is the willpower, along with the skills, that you're going to need to reach the success that you have. Because one thing I do know, okay, which leads me to my next thought I want you to consider, is others are waiting on you to finish this journey here because they need you to be the best that you need to be. One thing I understood in my time here is that someone was waiting on me to become who I needed to be when I left here. And as we think about that, ladies and gentlemen, think about it. It could be the patient in a hospital bed that's waiting for innovative treatment, like some of the things I saw on some of those posters today. Or the community is waiting on an advocate that was trained right here. Or future students, faculty members that are looking up to you so they can get what they need to be successful. They need you to finish what you have started. So one thing I want you to leave out here today with is there should be no excuse of you not finishing. No excuse, because the thing is, when you understand that other people are waiting on you to be who you need to be, that is when you have to push forward. So your work here in the health and human sciences is not just about you. Now, I know you thought it was about you, but it's not about you, okay? But it's about the lives you will touch, the people that you will heal, really, and the communities that you will uplift. Because someone out there is depending on you to keep going. There were times when I was here that I was like, man, I just don't know, but I have no other choice, because people would not understand if you come here and not get what you are supposed to get. So as you think about this, you owe it to them and to yourself to see this journey to the end. And all of the experiences that I've had since I have left CSU, and I think about this, one thing I cannot question at all. I was totally prepared for what I was ready to face once I left here. So remember I said who you came as and who you need to be when you leave is something that is very, very serious that I do want us to understand. But these people are waiting on you. My training here and the people I've met here in the community, like my mentor and the people here on campus, prepared me to go all across the world shaping lives, but they needed me to be who I needed to be right here in my training. So as we think about this, something that I want you to consider is something inside of you right now is ready to come out. And I could see it. I walked around with the poster sessions. You're excited about your work, okay? As you think about this, you're excited about the work that you're doing. But when you think about this, this is the untapped potential within you. I want you to remember that you will never get to your destination and all that you want to do with the work without the help of others. But when we look at this, everything that you have experienced, Everything that the challenges you have overcome have prepared you for this moment of things that you're highlighting here at Research Day. Ideas that you've been hesitant to share, I want you to reconsider those. The research that you've been afraid to pursue. My mentor, questions, look at it another way, okay? And as you start to think about this, it is time for you to get ready to release to the world. Because since this world is waiting on you, you have something that only you can offer the world. But as you think about this, whatever it is that is waiting to come outside of you, this is where you nurture it. That's why I said, don't run from the meetings with your advisors. I see the smiles on their faces. Because one thing I can say for sure, I know I have trademarked in the School of Education, okay? With my advisor, he will tell you, I named my meetings with him in the chair I sat in, the chair of fear. Because I knew, he could tell you, because I knew when I sat in that chair, we were going to have some intellectual wrestling bouts, right? But it's shaped, right? It's what I needed, okay? With my mentor here, it's what you needed. This is what you need right now, okay? So when you think about this and all what's inside of you, think about as you highlight this work that you have, nurture it so it can come out and you could be ready, because when you leave here, you want to be so prepared that nobody can question the quality of your work. And that is the biggest thing that I want you to consider. You want to be so prepared that the quality of your work is at such a high level, because remember I said you could be good, greatness is the standard, but phenomenal is in reach. And I want each and every person, no matter what your role is, student, faculty, administrator, community member, I want you to be phenomenal in the work that you do, because that is the whole goal of this research day. In talking with your great dean, when she put this together, this is what she saw. Highlighting greatness, highlighting phenomenal, so people can actually see what you have there as well. So I want to give you a thought that I want you to consider before I take my seat. And when you look at this, now that we've set the foundation, I want you to remember that you will never get to your destination and all that you want to do with your work without the help of others. See, greatness is not achieved by accident, okay? It is because others, and I want you to get this, others choose to invest in you. And before you leave CSU, I want you to get what I call the personal board of directors. And I want you to have this. I want you to take this. If you're a student, faculty, just take a picture on your phone with what I'm about to show you. And then I want you to fill in the blanks. Because if you don't fill in the blanks, you will not get to the journey, to the destination as quick as you need to get to it. So I want you to think about your personal board of directors. So here's how I want you to consider it. Okay, I have 4 that I want you to get, and I'm going to tell you each one. The first person before you leave CSU, I want you to find in your personal board of directors is what I call the lifter. And this lifter, this is going to be the person that's going to remind you of your power, be your encourager, who will raise your energy and help you elevate your thinking. I'm going to say that again. They're going to remind you of your power. They're going to be an encourager for you. They're going to raise your energy, but then they're going to help you elevate your thinking. Okay? So when somebody says these words to you, I don't want you to take it the wrong way. Okay? This is something I tell my students. When they come to me with a thought, I said, but what if you could go higher than that? What if you are better than that? I know what you presented to me today is not at the full capability of what I know you can do. I need you to have that person who I call the lifter in your personal board of directors, because this research and this work that you are taking on, you're going to have to elevate your thinking into such a way, because now you need new perspectives on what that work can do. So the first one is the lifter. The second person I want you to find is the pusher, or I would call it the challenger, okay? Because this person will make you uncomfortable, because they're going to push you. Some days they may not be your favorite person, but you need that. And they're going to be a truth teller as they see it, and a challenger for you, right? So when we say the pusher, sometimes, and this happened to me too, sometimes we don't want to walk into greatness. Sometimes we don't want to walk into phenomenal. So sometimes we have to have somebody just push us over. And that's what I had as well. Because you know, and everybody be truthful with me in the room, is that comfortable does not always mean greatness. Sometimes you have to get uncomfortable for you to get where I need you to get as well. So your pusher, your challenger is going to say, no matter what you say, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to push you anyway. And that is a key person that you need on your personal board of directors for you to get where I need you to get by being a graduate here at CSU, or being a faculty member here at CSU, or being an administrator here at CSU. Someone to push you over to that side where they know you can be. The third person I want you to get on your personal board of directors is your mentor. Who's going to be your mentor? A person that is supportive of you, non-judgmental, admiration, someone that you could be vulnerable with, someone where you could share your deepest fears, you share your excitement, share what you're going through while you are here with this work that you're doing. You could be on the journey of the work and say, I don't know if it's going to work. And you need that mentor there that says, you can do this. Stay the course. You could do this. Are you doing okay? Do you need food? Do you need money? The mentor will make sure that you are okay, because you need that person as well. And the last person on your personal board of directors that I want you to consider is the sponsor. This is the person that is well connected, excited about your journey, but also will be an opportunity finder for you. Also, they will be a big defender of you when you're not around. Because when you look at this, your sponsor and what you have in front of you, there are some people right here in this room, right here in your department, right here at this university, that will love to be that person for you. If, and here's the big if you show yourself ready to put in the work to do that as well. So as we think about this, and I get ready to close and take my seat, I want you to think about, in our time today, is knowing that the world needs you to be who you need to be. And in these final thoughts, your journey here in this College of Health and Human Sciences is not just about education, it is also your personal transformation. And I want you to really consider, are you ready to transform for the reason of why you came here? Because it's not about stepping into a purpose or just refining your skills or pushing forward with willpower. It's recognizing, like I said earlier, that someone is waiting on you. And as we think about how we move forward from this point, ladies and gentlemen, CSU is a great institution. You have chosen a great institution to pursue your education. You have chosen a place that will invest in you like nowhere else. And one thing I do know, and I'm proud to say as an alum of this great institution, is no doubt about it, you will be prepared when you leave here. You will be ready to set a mark once you leave here. And as you think about this and moving forward, I want you to truly be the best at all that you do. My only question is, are you ready for the challenge of greatness and phenomenal? That's the question I want you to wrestle with in our time in your last days here at CSU. Who do I choose to be when I leave here? And I want you to choose in the work that you do to reach towards phenomenal, because greatness is already the expectation. Phenomenal is where I want you to end up. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here. I think we wanted to do questions.
Yes, Chance, if we could get you to hang out there in the bright lights for just a little while longer, that would be great. So Dr. Jen Aberle's over on the left side of the stage here. We have got floating microphones. We've got an opportunity to interact, so you simply need to raise a hand. The dean has given Jen and I an incentive. Whoever gets to the most tables first leaves with $200 cash today. So,
Wow.
So I expect folks on this side of the room, I will share the money if you raise your hands. All right, we're talking.
They're giving out money now. Okay, we're doing great.
Dr. Lewis, right over here. Thank you so much for a great talk.
Thank you.
I work with military cadets on campus, and we talk a lot about some of these similar topics that you've brought up today. For many of my fellow master's students or graduate students, I think a large conversation internally that we have is what degree of self-sacrifice with regard to, our own sort of personal well-being is worth the efforts that we're putting in for the outcome that we're striving for. How do you maybe either personally or professionally recommend that folks balance the potential of the great work that they can do with their own personal well-being?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the things I do want you to consider, it is a stretching, right, of who you were to who you want to become in this experience. But while you're putting forth effort, you do have to have balance, right? So what I would tell anyone in the room is, how are you balancing yourself while you're here, right? And so when you look at the work, one of the things for me, I'm real rigid in how I schedule my time because it's such a valuable commodity, right? But in looking at that, you cannot be on doing this stuff 24/7. Right? You have to have balance. So I think about my time here with my mentor. This is where I was introduced to running, right? I remember the days, I don't know why he did this to me, where he had me running up Horsetooth, right? Right? But I think it was a proverbial, you're going to have some hills in your life, right? So I'm going to just show it to you in real time, right? But in looking at that, you have to have these other things that balance you and keep your own sanity and your great mental health. Now in carrying that on, now I cycle, right? So I cycle 150 to 200 miles a week, despite all the other stuff that I'm doing, right? Because you need that time to regenerate your brain so you can come back and perform. But when you're in the space, it's time to perform when you're in the space, right? But you want to also have other things in your life, social things here in Fort Collins, where you hang out with great people and do great things, because what it allows you to do is just be well-rounded. And like I tell my students, I don't want you to be weird, right? Okay? Because you could have all of this knowledge, but then you can't talk it to anybody, okay? And so what I want you to think about in doing that is find that sense of balance where you could push towards who you want to be, but making sure you enjoy the reality of where you are as well, because this is a great experience that you'll never forget for the rest of your life as well. Okay? Thank you for the question. Other questions?
Don't be shy.
I have a question. Hello?
Yep, I can hear
Okay.
you.
I am just curious, it sounds like you've had some great mentors and that you are now a great mentor for others. Can you offer some advice about the types of questions or content areas that you brought up with your mentor and what you pass on to your now mentees? Like content area, what realms maybe are we not exploring that we should in these thought-provoking conversations in your fear chair?
Yeah. Chair of fear, right? It's
Chair of
trademark.
fear.
Right. No, but so when you work with your mentors, I think there's a couple of levels, and different mentors are going to have different roles for you, right? So when I think about with my mentor, Dr. Cobb, who's here, you think about, for me as a budding researcher, I knew he had knowledge and expertise in that area, right? I was trying to galvanize as much as I could, right? Take on projects, even when he said, "Can you do this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I could do it. No problem." How do I do that, right? But I was just thinking, laughing with, one of my other grad student colleagues when we were here working in the Research and Development Center, for the advancement of student learning. And, when Brian used to come in and say, we want to do this, this, and this, we just figured it out, right? But we asked questions, too, to understand, right? So you have to push to understand and understand that there are levels to our own knowledge base, right? And you have to show that you want more, right? You have to be willing to accept opportunities because, like I tell my students, all opportunities are not advertised. Some opportunities will become or you will get because of your track record in showing different things at different times along the journey. So when you understand that all opportunities are not advertised, right, then you say, well, I'm going to take advantage of what I have here, right? But then you're with other mentors and you're having different conversations, right? Like, who am I, as a person? Who do I need to be in shaping myself as a person who I can navigate and function in the world as a high-performing person? And that person could speak life into me, right? So when I think about my mentor that's here, David Williams, just having those types of conversations that are not necessarily academic conversations, but conversations that you need to have with your personal board of directors where you move things in a direction to shape you as a whole, right? And help me understand that all what you achieve, right, don't let that be your full identity in itself, right? Because there are other facets to you that also need to be great as well. So when you think about that with your personal board of directors, it's a full development experience and having those types of conversations, but be willing to take the feedback even if it's not what you want to hear at the time. Okay? And then once you understand that and take that in, then you could take those lessons and then pass it on to those others that I was talking about who are waiting on you to finish this experience as well. Okay? Thank you for the question. Other questions? I see some hands on this side.
Hi, Dr. Lewis. Thank you
Yes.
for your talk.
Yes.
I'm curious, when you talk about the lifter or the pusher, I'm wondering how active the mentee should be in having these roles. Is it something that happens naturally, or do I ask my mentors, I have too many pushers, can you be more of a lifter, or is it something I just need to keep looking for it to be natural?
Hey, that's a great question, right? So here's something I don't want you to do. I don't want you to walk out of here, will you be my lifter? Okay? It's going to happen naturally, right? And so as you start on this journey, and you show your willingness to grow, you show your willingness in the work that you're doing to want to get better, right? these people are going to kind of show themselves in different places. Your eyes have to be open enough to recognize them in real time. So I want you to think back on this conversation today, and you can say, this is who Dr. Lewis was talking about, okay? It's the pusher, or the lifter, or the mentor, right? Or whoever the person is for you, it will happen naturally, because what will happen as you start to see things is that when you do this work that you're moving towards right now, those people will show up right when you need them. And that's the amazing thing about it, is because at the time in my life when things showed up for me, it was exactly at the point where I needed it, right? So when I came here, I said, well, there are some things I know about education. You know, I taught high school, you know. I got Teacher of the Year. I feel good, right? But remember, I said good is not good enough at this level, because greatness is the standard. But those people that we're talking about today will show up and show themselves to you. You just have to be ready to receive it, okay? So let me give you all a test that you could try. If an opportunity is presented to you and you say, I don't know if I'm ready, I want you to rethink that thought and say, even if I'm not ready, I'm going for it, because that could be my sponsor, okay? Because I tell my students, you got one time. I'm going to present the opportunity. If you're not ready for it, it's okay. We'll circle back another time. Because trust me, if you don't want it, somebody else does. So the thing about it is, when my mindset shifted and opportunities started coming my way, I'll take all of them, give all of them. I know I can't do them all. I'm going to do them anyway. Because one thing I understood is that if phenomenal is on the horizon, each and every opportunity is going to be a shaping of what I needed to do what I needed to do. I mean, I don't know if my advisor remembers this. This was one project we had with the Colorado prison, right? And I went. I'm going. Give it to me. Because the work that we were doing helped shape something in me that I needed, right? Or when my mentor said, let's talk about this topic, we need to talk about that topic. And those are things that I want you all to consider as well, okay? And I'm going to give you this thought to consider. Opportunities are not on your schedule. They're going to show up purposely when you don't think you're ready. So you can't say, well, I'm holding Tuesday at 11:30 for all opportunities that are coming. It doesn't happen like that. But when they come, you will know when they are there. So those persons will emerge for you. Thank you for the question. Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question was about opportunities.
Yes.
And, you just talked about it. It's been a big topic of conversation in your speech and in questions. Some opportunities jump out at us and we're really passionate.
Yeah.
Some others we are not.
Yeah.
How do you balance what opportunities you really pounce on to stretch yourself and push you into the phenomenal that you were talking about?
Right. You ever heard the saying, don't despise small beginnings, right? Those small opportunities that you think are minimal, I would have you consider that those could be little tests for you to see if you really want the bigger opportunities, right? Because as you start to think about these things, if I present you an opportunity, big or small, it's still an opportunity, right? But if we are waiting to be considered for the big, right, sometimes we're going to miss those and not be ready for those because we turn down the littles, okay? And it is in those little things, right, the opportunity that came to you where you didn't get paid, right, or the opportunity that came to you that made you spend some extra time, right? One thing I do know, and I've come to understand, that opportunity providers, they're always looking, okay? And how do you handle the small ones? How do you handle the big ones, right? But when you look at that, you may say at that particular time when you feel it's small, if it's something that you had a capacity to be able to do, just make sure you choose it and do it at the best of your ability, because it could be the pathway to the bigger opportunities as well. So anybody in the room, when those opportunities come or somebody says, can you do this, can you do that? I want you to strongly consider, because I don't want you to say, oh, I would never do that. I've lived long enough now to be like, I will consider it, okay? But what I want you to consider, and at the heart of your question, is balancing out, because everybody's busy, right? But when you look at that, think about the decisions that you make when opportunities do come, because it can have a long-term impact on your trajectory for where you're going as well. Okay? Yes. Others?
Hi, over on your right.
Oh, you got the bright lights.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I loved your statement about you can outskill me, but you'll never outwill me.
Right.
I feel like I came here with no background education in apparel design, and first time I touched a sewing machine, and I had a lot of peers that had a lot more skill than me, but I felt like if I pushed myself, I could learn what I needed and develop those skills. Do you have any advice for people who are out here with mad will, but not a lot of skill, and how to use that will to further develop those skills?
Yeah, welcome to the club. Okay. When you look at this, think about this. So the skills, we all have skills, right? And there's various levels of skill, right? But I want you to think about your work ethic, okay? And what I would love for you to do is just track how you spend your time over a 7-day period. And when I say somebody's not gonna outwill me, because for me, I know I'm an early morning person, and just like even today, 3 a.m., I mean, this is before this, I mean, not even related to this, I know I had to finish 2 book proposals, finish an article, finish a contract, and work out before I got here. Now, this is 3 a.m. What do you do when people don't see you? That's the will that I'm talking about, because when we look at this, you could be the greatest writer in the world, right? But the time from putting in that will work is what I call where nobody's watching you to say, I'm going to get this stuff out because phenomenal, right, is the goal, right? So when you think about your field that you're in, you know, and like you say, you're with the sewing machine, you know what I mean? If you're a morning person, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you should be on the grind, doing things that other people are not willing to do in that particular space so you can get to where you need to get, because the work will show itself. So how does Chance Lewis, person who came to CSU, no publications, get to 30 books and 100 publications or whatever? You have to go beyond what your advisors expect you to do. You got to keep coming back. They say, I need you to change this. Great, I'm coming back again. You got to be willing to do things that other people are not willing to do to be great, to be phenomenal, right? Because everybody could put in work ethic, okay? But are you willing to put in the time to be what you are supposed to be? That is the question that is on the table for everybody in the room, whether you're a student, faculty member, administrator. How much time are you putting in the work, right? Because all of us have met people who are talking about what they are doing, right? But there's another mentor of mine that said, when you have a great idea, just shut up and do it. And let other people talk about it. So as you start to think about this, because sometimes we could have these great ideas and we share with people and then it kills our dream. So I want you to think about the work that you could put in that nobody else sees that will make you great and phenomenal as well. Okay? Thank you. any others? Yes.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
I wonder, on your proposed board, is there room for the collaborator? Somebody who can maybe change your title a little bit and talk about maximizing our time instead of just your time.
Yeah. Collaboration is key, especially as you work in higher ed. And when you think about what I put on here when I said the personal board of directors, right? This is a starting point, right? It's not a final, right? But when you think about, these are going to be people that you meet along the way, right? And you're going to have to look at collaborations, right? But you have to collaborate with the right people, right? You have to think about people who have similar mindsets, or people going in the direction that you want to go, right? Or you meet faculty along the way, or you meet administrators, or you meet people along the way, and then you link up in collaborations, with people you never thought about. How can you be interdisciplinary? Right, in a college like the College of Health and Human Sciences, why can't education people be collaborating with people in construction management, right? Or apparel and design, or occupational therapy, right? All of these are ways that we can collaborate with each other, and I totally agree with you that collaboration is key, but however, you have to be ready for the collaboration to do the part that you need to do once that collaboration opportunity shows itself, right? Because if you try to collaborate with somebody and you don't hold up your end of the bargain, we're going to have a problem, right? So when you think about this, your personal board of directors, it's going to expand. I've had people that I've collaborated with all across the world that I've never thought I would be able to collaborate with. But once you show yourself and start doing the work, right, people are going to be attracted to you and say, hey, let's do this, right? Or, hey, let's consider this opportunity. Or, hey, we got this opportunity for you as well, right? But we have to prepare ourselves first to be ready to collaborate if we're going to make a difference in the world as well. Okay? Thank you.
Matt, I think Jen's beating you now in the table count.
Well done, well done.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis, for your talk. My name is Alex Lang, assistant professor in the School of Education. And this is our research day, and I'm wondering if you can speak a bit to the current moment, right? That we have, in many ways, certain research topics under attack by the federal government. We see NSF eliminating keywords from grants that they will no longer consider. And I'm wondering how you can both offer advice to students, junior faculty, postdoctoral scholars who want to do the really necessary work that will not be funded anymore, and how you would speak to administrators who typically assess folks and their productivity based on grant funding that now is being cut off in many ways. So how would you speak to those two groups about this current moment?
Yeah, that's a great question, multifaceted and great question. So when we think about in the current time that we're in, if you're a student, this is why when you think about the questions that you want to pursue, right? This is a opportune time to ask some new questions and write some new things and disseminate some new knowledge that the world needs right now, right? And as you start to think about that kind of work and you talking to faculty, if you're a student, you want to talk through these things and say, hey, where are some lanes where I can take my work right now, right? Because this is a prime opportunity, right? But if you're a faculty member and you're thinking about this and you're thinking about, okay, funding, I was talking with the dean last night at dinner, and I have funds right now that are on hold, right? But here's the other thing, when we talk about greatness and phenomenal, right? You're always considering, but here's another way I can do it. Here's another way I could get funding for this. So what I've had to do in this short time, like everybody else, you had some pivots. So I said, okay, while these funds are on hold, some new opportunities came with contracts, maybe not from the federal government, but at the state level, right? Or I've been able to obtain some corporate funding and foundation funding because they said this work has to continue, right? But if I would have just stopped at they cut off the funding, And that's it, because one thing about higher ed, we're still going to be evaluated on metrics. But when we look at this, one thing that higher ed is very good at, okay, is answering yes and no, right? As a faculty member, they want you to be great, right? Yes or no, do you have these particular metrics, right? But in this day and time, one thing I want us to consider as faculty, as students, or whatever it is, there is always another way to do the work, right? But we have to be innovative enough, creative enough to see things that other people don't see, right? Because another person who's very pivotal in my life said, you can see what everybody else sees, but can you see what they don't see at the same time? So in this time of potential chaos and potential new realities, what you want to be thinking about as the faculty member, this is where your students, your faculty colleagues, and others are counting on you to see things that other people don't see at this particular time, to do the work so the work can continue. Because at the end of the day, higher ed, while it's facing its challenges, will always continue on, right? But remember, higher ed is that search for knowledge, right? That search for information, that search to find a way when nobody else thinks it cannot be done, right? So I encourage everyone in the room, right? First, be careful of how much media you consume, right? But in addition to that is have times to balance yourself and kind of think and say, what's my strategy for the right now? Where do I need to adjust, right? And where do I need to position myself for the work in this current reality as well? Because one thing that cannot be stopped, which I learned here, is great work. As long as you keep doing great work, right, it will continue to push forward as well. Okay? Great question. Okay? Any other question?
I think it's perhaps the perfect time to stop, and I'll concede the competition to my friend Dr. Aberle. And I'll ask everybody to take a moment and join me in saying thank you again to Dr. Lewis for a phenomenal talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.